Hi everyone, it's me again, back with Elle for another episode, and Squish Gang present obviously as well, with new members. I have Gordon the Shark, Dexter the Dragon. Gordon I've been trying to get for like a year, and then the scalpers have finally lost, and I found it at a store for not $200. Now, we're just going to do our regular housekeeping. Again, I'll put the chapter of when the content actually starts. So today we're going to actually discuss kind of internet deep dives, because Gabbie Hanna hasn't uploaded more episodes of her series anyways. So we're going to discuss kind of just like things that we find on the internet and rabbit holes we've gone into and how interesting they are, given me with my growth in the channel, which, by the way, thank you for over 830 subscribers. Woohoo! I also want to address kind of how my comment sections are going to go, given that I actually have them now. I will delete any conspiracy or anti-science comments. Because given that my channel's still small, I can monitor all of the contents, all of the comment sections on all the videos. So I still see everything. And if you are spamming people or spamming just completely false narratives, you will be blocked from the channel. I had to block someone from the channel who quite literally wrote like a dissertation about why racism isn't real. Like, the shit like that, gone. Thanos snapped, goodbye. So I'm just letting you know that, like, I welcome criticism. There are lots of comments, especially on my Jimmy Snow video, that criticize me. That's fine. You can even call me ugly, call me fat, call me dumb, I don't care. But if you're ridiculing people, ridiculing beliefs, or just attacking excessively, then you will be blocked, and you will be, like, your comment will be deleted and or blocked from the channel. Because I just wanted to mention that because, like, that video is sitting at almost 14,000 views as of recording this, and I don't want to seem like I'm hypocritical, given especially that I talk about how Jimmy kind of blocks off a lot of comments. There's just like a threshold that I have set, and I just wanted to be very transparent about what that threshold is. And like I said, the threshold's like anti-science comments and kind of racism, etc. And just a trigger warning for this episode, we're going to talk about probably some like manipulation, concepts of religion, drug use, fat shaming, and politics, but Canadian politics. So I don't know, maybe my majority American audience can like just kind of learn some stuff today, because Elle is a huge contributor into the Canadian Poly Twitter threads and kind of the atmosphere of Canadian politic discourse on Twitter. So that's what she's going to be talking about today. And yeah, so Elle, you want to give like a quick synopsis on how you've been doing?
Am I huge? I don't know if I'm huge. I think there's I think there's definitely a lot of big commentators. I'm almost at 1,000 followers on Twitter. I'm just under, like, I think I'm at like 710 now, but I do have a decent
Twitter down below. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Plug. Plug.
Yeah, but I do have a decent amount of MPs, which are kind of like Canada's version of like House representatives, you would say. Like, I mean, like, we don't really have Congress like America.
Yeah, we have our House of Commons, and then our Senate, and then you have your Supreme Court, and you have your Governor General that represents the monarch.
Yeah, because we have a constitutional monarchy.
Yeah, it doesn't do much. The only power that the Governor General has on like a Canadian political scale is if there's a huge dissolution in Parliament, but the person in the minority, like the head of the minority government, so right now that'd be Justin Trudeau, refuses to run an election, the Governor General could be like, that's enough, and push an election. That's like the only actual political power they really have on a fundamental level to this day. If no one knows what a Governor General is, because like it's a weird concept.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I'm kind of against the whole position as a whole. But
I knew the old Governor General, not the girl, the one. Yeah, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, his adopted granddaughter went to high school with me. So actually, like, I've been to like his kid's house. Yeah. Fun fact. Really cool. I have we should go into your topic first, actually, because it bridges nicely. Give it. So actually,
should we?
We're gonna do that, actually. Change it. Woo. So we're gonna get right into that. We're gonna jump into the Canadian politics. We'll do my thing after, because I feel like this is like a good bridge. I have a weird set of random political alignments. Like, my grandfather flew the Queen of England for a little bit, right? That's a start. Then I knew Mr. Johnson's granddaughter in high school and like went to the house. drove her home after my prom and everything. And then Ed Broadbent's granddaughter was my best friend as a kid. Like, I've known Ed Broadbent my whole life. Yeah, my mom, his favorite pie. Ed Broadbent's favorite pie is my mom's lemon meringue pie. I think he still has the last pie dish we gave him. To this day, I think I never got it back.
He didn't return it? What an asshole.
Well, no, it's because I had a falling out with her, like, the granddaughter, because her boyfriend was being weird, and she was super protective, and I was once friends with the boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Ed Broadbent, just for anybody who wants to know, because I know, like, my political science teacher, like, low-key loves him. I actually sent him, I liked the last email I sent him, I was like, P.S. I knew Ed Broadbent in person, and he's really, really nice. Like, he's legitimately, like, a super intelligent and kind-hearted person. Like, how he presented himself politically, because this is not that common, right? Especially in larger political parties. Ed Broadbent, how he presents himself politically is how he is as a person. Ed Broadbent also, like, does not like the Liberal Party.
Yeah, I don't like the Liberal Party either. A lot of people don't.
He gave me a book to give my mom that was in French that essentially was called, like, The Liberal Scam. And, like, and then I read Ken Dryden's,
sick as hell.
I read Ken Dryden's memoir that he gave me that had a lot of, like, stuff about how, like, the Liberal government fiscally is a bit problematic. And then also I have Jack Layton's memoir, like the one that came out after he died, signed by the author, addressed to Ed Broadbent, in my bookshelf right now.
Oh, that's really sick, I'm not gonna lie.
I know, people are jelly. Meeting him actually was my second grade Christmas play. My dad, a Quebecois man, which we'll get into me being Quebecois in a Canadian politics space later. My dad goes up to this guy at a Christmas play with a bunch of 7-year-olds, and he bumps him, like, he gives him, like, a shot on the shoulder. And he's like, Jesus Christ, man, did anyone ever tell you look like Ed Broadbent? And he looks at him, he's like, maybe because I am. And then my dad...
Your dad's like...
My dad, like, recoils, he's like, oh my god, sir, I'm so sorry, and, like, brushes his shoulders, like, oh my god. He just straight-armed Ed Broadbent in a elementary school with 30 kids in it.
Yeah. I've met, like, a lot of local politicians from where I'm from. Like, I'm originally from Southern Ontario. Like, well, I mean, Toronto is in Southern Ontario, but, like,
yeah,
I moved from Niagara, like the Niagara region. And my uncle is the head of the Steelworkers Union for one of the, like, Niagara, I believe most of the Niagara region. Like, he's, like, the union head for whatever union number, like, branch he is. But, yeah, I've met, like, he met Jagmeet Singh. My uncle does a lot of work with, like, the NDP because he saw them as a viable party. And, like, I remember, and it's funny because I literally, so I'll talk about, like, Canadian poly Twitter for a sec, because, like, that's what we're talking about first. But yeah,
before you get in, I would give my right butt cheek to be followed by Jagmeet on anything.
He doesn't follow me. He doesn't follow me, I will say.
That's all I want to say before you get into it. Jagmeet, notice me, please. Anyways,
notice me, senpai.
Yeah.
Notice me, sing.
They're calling him Papa Sing Pie. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh, new Twitter name. Gonna change that when I'm done. Anyways, go on.
New senpai just dropped. Yeah, no, but yeah, I'm trying to think of the politicians that do follow me. Peter Julian, MP Matt Green follows me. A couple other commentators follow me, and that makes my heart swell because I put this down in our notes, but I relate to your Twitter bio so much where you're like, I'm an English major, but from my tweets you wouldn't tell that. I'm like, oh frig, that was me. I remember when I, like, clicked, because I met Mika, like, because I found her videos, because I wanted to do videos analyzing the rhetoric of, like, Jeffree Star and Shay Dawson and, like, all these people. Like, I wanted to do that. And then I was like, I wonder if anybody else is doing this. And so I looked it up, and, like, I found Mika's channel. And so I remembered, like, clicking your Twitter because it was in, like, your bio. And I was like, oh, I wonder. And then I saw your bio, and I was like, oh my god, I relate to this so hard. And yeah, messaged her.
And then I had it marked in, like, because my location on Twitter is just the University of Waterloo. Because I want to make it really transparent that what I'm learning, because people say like, oh, it might be risky, like letting people know where you are. First off, like I filmed videos in a bunch of different places. I'm always moving. So like I'm not like telling you like my address is 123 Alphabet Street. Like I'm not, and then also because I want to make it really, I want to be really transparent about where these ideologies I've learned and project to other people and show other people have come from. And to have my own kind of credibility. Also, given that like it's a notable university, so I'm just trying to say like, look how I had to work pretty hard to get here. So this is why I feel the need to kind of, put these things forward.
I think that was part of the other reason why I messaged you too, was because I was like, oh, Canadian and like rhetorician and messy. Like, we're not. I wouldn't say we're messy. We love mess. So I was like, oh, YouTube drama. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, rest is history. But a couple MPs follow me on Twitter. A couple other commentators follow me on Twitter. Nothing crazy. When I hit 1,000 followers, I'll be like, okay, I've got some clout. But
that's me with subscribers. I'm like, give me 1,000 subscribers, then I can have my community tab finally. I say that like literally every single video. I'm like, please God, give me a community tab. But it's honestly,
you're praying to the YouTube gods. You have a little shrine to the play button.
Yeah, I'm like, please. I don't even want the play button. I just want the community tab. But I wanted to say too that because I'm Quebecois, right? And going to the University of Waterloo has been a wild ride because the Quebecois are Franco-Quebecois. So I recently had to watch a documentary for my political science class, and they talked about how the Quebecois idolize what's called purity, like Quebecois purity, given that you are a direct descendant from one of the people from like the Samuel de Champlain era, or like before the royal proclamation. Like we're talking like 1600s. Like if you could trace back to there, you are like Quebecois as a nationality. Like because there's a point now that even some nationality like surveys have Quebecois as one of them. Because it's just kind of started to shift into because you're getting like 400 years of like evolving from, the people from France at the time, right? So
yeah, that'd be like saying like people in Haiti are still French when they're not. They're like Haitian.
Yeah, so I'm Quebecois. Like my dad's family came on the Mayflower, and my mom's family came during the 100 Associates era, like Company of 100 Associates. So that's like before 1660. Like, we've been here a long time, right? But it's just funny because English is my mother tongue. So, in Quebec, some people don't consider me Quebecois, but then I look super Quebecois. My accent, when I do say French words and even a lot of English words, is very Franco-Quebecois. But then, like, my fluency in French is hit or miss for sure. My fluidity is not very classy. It is very colloquial. Because I wasn't educated. I was educated also entirely in English. But the Quebecois, while a majority in Quebec, the Franco-Quebecois, I mean, so the French, for the Americans, the French Quebecers are, when you live there, it's des Franco-Quebecois. That's like what I was kind of taught. So it's the French Quebecers is how the English would say it, right? Because I'm realizing I'm using these colloquialisms with a majority American audience. But, so like we're politically, Quebec's wild because they have their own systems of parties that are different from the rest of the country, their own ideologies that are different. The French Quebecers are the majority in Quebec, but French Canadians, which they don't like being called French Canadians because they're not a big fan of how the rest of the country is run, are a minority. So I come...
Wait, why don't they like being called French Canadian? What?
They don't like being called French Canadian. No.
You're a part of this.
They don't like it because, well, see, like, because like it depends on who you ask.
Are these the separatists?
Not necessarily, because the thing is, so I was gonna get to that. So like the Quebecois know about Canada, but Canada doesn't know about the Quebecois, because like so many Ontarians even say, like specifically Ontarians and Albertans, like people out west as well, say like they think the Bloc Québécois is like a right wing party. Which is like...
I did used to think that. I'm going to be honest. I did used to think that.
And the whole point of the Quebec Revolution was against the English capital. Like, the whole reason...
But that's when I found out.
the whole reason the Bloc Québécois exists is that they didn't like right-wing conservatives. Right now, there's the CAQ, which is the Conservative Party of Quebec. It doesn't translate well into English, like what CAQ stands for. So I just say Quebec.
Isn't that like my mom used to say? Like, isn't that like?
Because in French, it's Coalition Avenir du Québec. So if I'm gonna pronounce that super anglophonized, I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Coalition Avenir of Quebec, which says it doesn't translate properly because Avenir is not really a word, right? So it's literally like a modern conservative party for Quebec. This is the first time in 2018 is the first time conservatives won since the 1950s. And the only reason is because the Bloc Québécois like fumbled the bag. There's also a new Quebec Liberty Party. Like it's like a liberal kind of party. Not like liberals like Canadian liberals, I mean like left wing, like as in liberalism, not liberals, if that makes any sense. That's on the rise as well. So the reason the CAQ won, a lot of it was advantage of the fall of the Bloc Québécois. But because the reason why there's a fall of the Bloc Québécois is because the separatists aren't really a thing anymore, as they were before. But the Québécois don't like being called French Canadian. I think a big part of it is they feel detached from the rest of the country because I came here to the University of Waterloo to no one knowing what a cégep is, no one understanding how I went to school, no one understanding where I'm from, people not understanding the language, people not understanding the culture, right? But like, and people not even understanding why I had two last names or how I had two last names. Like, a guy called my health card, he thought it was a credit card. Like people have thought because the Quebec IDs look different, they thought it was fake. I have been double carded here multiple times to try to prove that my stuff is real because they don't know what a Quebec ID looks like.
I do that all the time for status cards. And like I work in retail, and I worked on Canada Day, and I literally had because there was a lot of Indigenous people, obviously, like doing demonstrations at like Yonge and Dundas Square. And I watched some like really beautiful like throat singing and like ribbon dancing, and it was really actually like a beautiful ceremony that they were doing in honor of the residential, like the graves and burials that they found of children from residential schools. But yeah, people were really, really like shocked, and it's so upsetting. Because you have to legally, like, you can't deny status. You literally can't. But retail stores do it all the time. They will do it all the time. And, like, it's so sad when I have Indigenous people saying, like, oh my God, thank you for accepting status. It's like, you have to. You have to. It's the law.
Preface with I'm not here saying des Québécois are oppressed. I'm not running around being, like, crying French tears. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain why that tension is there. Is because the Québécois are forced to learn about the English and deal with the English all the time and retain that kind of like Canadian culture, but then are like other people, even the next province over, don't even blink an eye. The guy administering my vaccine papers to get my second dose thought Quebec was another country. Okay, that actually happened. It was real. And I couldn't believe it. I almost threw hands in that lobby, girl. I was like, the hell is happening?
What?
So this is what I mean when the Québécois might not want to be called French Canadians, right? It's the same thing as like I said, like almost why they don't want to be called Indigenous Canadians, right? It's that same like while the Indigenous are far more right for that feeling and far more warranted. It's the same notion of like, well, why do we have to exist in your space, but you don't even have to acknowledge our space? If that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes sense. Like I definitely agree. That's the thing with like, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture is that, and colonialism like as a whole, is that it's like a dominating force. It's just the English were that much more like violent than like, well, I don't want to say they're more violent than the French because obviously the French colonialism's bad. Colonialism's bad kind of all around. But obviously the English dominated more because they did control more of Canada because there was more English populations. That's literally how Canada was conceived. So
I have a
Yeah.
Quebec poli-science professor for once, which is interesting, hearing it through the lens of
Really?
someone who's not. Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
fun with him is that he kind of pokes fun, and then we had a meeting with Nancy Belanger, right, who's like head of like lobbying of Canada.
Mhm.
And she said, "Oh, you know what? Let's think of an example of like someone we can look up to see where they've lobbied." She said, "Who's your MP?"
Mhm.
You know, guess who my MP was? William Amos. The guy who was naked on camera?
Which guy was naked on camera?
William Amos. William Amos.
I have
Was the
no idea who that is. I'm
So
not
that
gonna
was
lie.
that was a liberal MP from the region of Quebec who
Uh-huh.
got caught on the Zoom meeting naked twice.
Wait, this is a recent thing? How did I not hear about this?
Yeah, and so she says, Nancy Belanger says, like, does anyone want to volunteer their MP? And I just like click the microphone button. I'm like, William Amos. Or no, I typed it in the chat. So it popped up, and I said like, oh, my like where I'm from originally, because I'm like I said, being Quebecois, obviously I'm not from Waterloo. Duh. I was like, it's William Amos. And she literally, like, I see her glance at the screen, and then she just starts laughing in the middle of the presentation.
I'm looking up this guy's Twitter.
I can see,
like,
I can see my teacher. He's muted, and he's just giggling. And I just responded with Quebec's always a wild ride.
okay. See, so when I say like I'm basically like I have clout in the left-leaning political Twitter, like
He
clout,
administered my
clout,
like he
quote
gave
unquote, like minimal.
he
very
signed.
minimal.
Okay, he signed my like graduation certificate. Like he was like a huge
Really?
presence in the region that I was from. Yeah. Like
So I don't know him because like so I was gonna mention earlier like my uncle when he was like involved with like NDP politicians back in the 2015 election. But in the 2015 election, because like obviously we were both too young to vote, but that was when I was a diehard little liberal supporter, and like I actually got into a fight with a liberal on Twitter about this, like a prominent a prominent liberal, not leftist, because they're not the same thing. A prominent liberal commentator was like, "You're not a liberal, you're lying." I'm like, "No, I was a liberal, fuck you." Like and he was like, "What?" And he blocked me over it. And like
for the American viewers, liberal is closer to the Democrats. Like these are so in America, nobody is as left Canadian parties go. They Bloc Québécois of all
Bernie
people.
Sanders is like
like a little bit right of the NDP. Is like
no, Bernie Sanders is more left.
Right?
No, Bernie is more left than the NDP though.
It depends because if you look on this, it depends on the scale and what they scale it on as well. Because if you go into like military presence and you go into stuff like kind of social security and different kind of things like that and medicine, then it sways right a little bit more. Because he's still fundamentally American, right? And American values tend to swing more right under Canadian socialism standards. Right?
No, but the fact that have you read the Medicare for All?
I did read the Medicare for All. Yeah, I
so
did.
Medicare for All, it's way more vast than our system is.
I'm saying is overarching policy, like over the entire. Yeah. So like if you put Bernie Sanders on the compass, NDP as a party on the compass, Bernie Sanders is in between the Liberals and the NDP on that compass, as far as what I've seen. Anyways, normally, what I was
like
gonna say,
like just like hold where they've like
So what I was gonna say is that the Liberals are more similar to your Democrats, like you're like what Joe Biden, so center,
exactly,
center right, kind of, maybe left once in a while, maybe, but definitely like centrists at
center,
the core, right? So that's our Liberal Party. Then our Conservative Party is between your Democrats and your Republicans. Then our People's Party of Canada are the Republicans. Because we run on what's called, I would call that a 6-party system. Because you've got NDP, Liberal, Conservative.
We have a multi-party system,
it's who's actually has presence is 6 parties as of right now. So you get Liberal, NDP, Conservative are the big 3. It used to be called a 2.5 party because NDP was a half, but now NDP's on average above 20%, so that considers them a
38.
Tertiary.
We're at 38. I just looked at some recent polls, and we're now like I say we, like the NDP is the party that I most closely align myself with.
Yeah.
As a socialist slash communist, like I'm fine with either. I use both interchangeably.
My problem is on a policy basis. I like the Bloc Québécois, except I don't like the nationalism, the language laws, or the immigration policies.
Yes.
But as far as like education, healthcare, daycare, and parental leave and stuff like that,
yeah, they're super for like social services
workman's comp and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, there's this because those policies are what makes them more left than the NDP. But I'm also not a separatist or a Quebec nationalist. So then I'm like, okay, well, I can't like the Bloc. And also the thing, because the Bloc Québécois, for anyone wondering, only can exist in Quebec. The problem is Quebec is also like a fifth of the, like, a huge part of the Canadian population. They can have 6 million in Quebec, and the population here is like 35 million. So it's like a fifth of the country is Quebec. Because that's where the density lies. Density lies along the river, like St. Lawrence River, and the southern border to the United States. So the Bloc Québécois could never have a majority, even if every single person in Quebec voted, but they can be what's called primary opposition, which is the second most voted for party if it's like a minority government. So they could get like a lot of seats, but they can't actually win. So even though they're included in the 6-party system, they're actually the only party that could not have a majority, where it's like literally impossible. So they literally exist just to make sure that like what Quebec wants is in the parliament. That there's like somebody there to like be like
French.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That's all they want. They're like, somebody needs to be there and be French.
Well, there's somebody there to go, no pipeline, thanks.
Well, hey, the Green Party does a great job of that. They're with their whole 2 seats.
Well, yeah, except the Green Party falling apart again. Right now,
I'm really disappointed because I really was excited to see how Annemie would take on the role as party leader, and
because now you would have 2 out of the 6 parties led by people of color too, right?
Yes, exactly, and the fact that she literally was more than willing to team up with Erin O'Toole, but like is in like constantly like criticizing the NDP. It's like you could accomplish so much more by aligning yourselves with the NDP, though. Don't you have the same values on like green policy? Why are you even bothering to talk? And she like tweeted and she's like, oh, because I'm not I don't fall like, not fall victim. I don't want to say that, but she was like, oh, I'm not playing into partisanship. And it's like, okay, there's listening to other people, and then there's like planning your strategies with them and having like meetings about it and then posting about it on Twitter.
Yeah,
like,
apparently a huge problem too is her opinions on Palestine.
I was literally about to say, so that's the other thing too.
I don't know.
They've always been a free Palestine. Well, like I say, they've always been a free Palestine party. A lot of vocal members have been vocal about, or a lot of members have been vocal about free Palestine for a long time. My mom used to vote Green Party back in the day, but like a lot of the times, like the conservatives on bikes, rhetoric. It's true a lot of the times, but there are like actual like eco-socialists that there was an eco-socialist. What was his name? I can't remember. He was going to be party head, and people wanted him over Annemie after Elizabeth May, but he didn't get it, and it was stupid. And I was
my parents are okay. I'm not going to call them diehard liberals because my dad says he literally votes out of complacentness.
Well, my mom doesn't even vote anymore because she literally thinks I'm disillusioned by the system. Everything's pre-decided.
I remember my dad telling me I voted for Justin Trudeau because I felt like I had to. Because he's like, I need to use my voice, but like I didn't like any of them. Because I know my mom voted for NDP in 2011. I know that. And then I don't know what my dad did because he doesn't really talk about it that much. So he doesn't usually tell me, but he did tell me about 2015 because he was pretty disappointed. Because my mom just straight up loved Justin Trudeau because my mom is Franco-Ontarian living in Quebec. So she kind of liked Pierre-Elliott Trudeau's response to the issues in the 70s with the Quebecois.
Okay.
So my mom liked Pierre-Elliott Trudeau's approach to things. So she kind of gathered that the son would be in a similar vein. That was her kind of, which a lot of boomers in Quebec, that was the case, actually. I've heard that a few times. Excuse me. So my mom likes Justin Trudeau for whatever reason. Like, I mean, sure, whatever. My mom's a boomer. My mom has 5 channels on television, and my mom doesn't have the internet. So her access to things, minimal at best. Actually, like 2 radio stations come in. So I mean, I just let her do what she wants. I don't really like destroy her because at least she's not a conservative. I know that's such a bad complacentness. I'm realizing that because that's what a lot of people's like don't vote for NDP because it's a vote for conservative. That was like a notion for a long time. But my mom is kind of like that's where her allegiance lies, but then I've been like a diehard like NDP stan. Probably a lot of it because of knowing Ed Broadbent, to be honest, for most of my life. But then also because when I looked into policy, when I saw the pipeline thing, I was like, what is that? Because 2015, I couldn't vote. And then between 2015 and 2019, I did vote in 2019. I was like, what? When I heard about the pipeline, I was like, what? What is that? And then when I was in 2019, when I was researching the parties, the first thing on the Bloc Québécois that comes up is we are going to cancel the pipeline. That was the first thing they wanted. Before Quebec nationalism, they're like, get rid of the pipeline. Like, the fact that the Democratic president, Joseph R. Biden, was like, exit girlies. I thought that was hilarious. Because the Liberal Party was so tooth and nail about it just for it to not work out at the end.
Oh, I know. Canadian politics are just a mess. Like, the one time we did have a female prime minister, she was literally just like shoehorned in there just to fill the spot, and like
she Jacques Chrétien ugly.
Kind of an icon though.
Oh, yeah. Well, in Quebec, you talk about Kim Campbell. In Quebec, they'll throw rocks, girl. Like, because that was the last. I think one of the last like super Quebecois like prime ministers. Like I know the Trudeaus are, I think, also from Montreal, but like Jacques Chrétien was like the guy, and she called him ugly as like a defense to something, and they were like, what? I think we'll bridge out of Canadian politics. Now we're all gassed up. Let us know if you want us to do like a full thing dedicated to this, because I just wanted to kind of give a synopsis of like those relationships. Also, before we do that though, talk about how you got blocked by Maxime Bernier, because that was really funny.
I'm just remembering that. I'm blocked by a couple. I'm also fun fact. I'm also blocked by the TTC support Twitter, because one time like 5 streetcars in a row rode past me and they were all out of service, and I had like groceries and like ice cream melting in the heat, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And like I tweeted at them very angrily, and they did not like that. But anyways, Maxon, he was being awful, and I forget what he was being a bigot about, but it's always something with him.
It was about that he couldn't have his rally.
Yeah.
Which he did anyways, and they got arrested.
Yeah. But like, did they even arrest him, or did they give him a police escort out?
I don't know. I did see them like at least he got aggressively shoved in a cop car in front of everybody.
Yeah,
it's not like when they press on your head into the door type thing.
Like, but also, like, I don't want to be like, wow, yay, police brutality. But like, I don't know, like they were doing that just a power trip too, like him as well. Like,
yeah, but I mean, at least like that. At least you finally got like a far right got consequences immediately. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That was really nice. Like in real time, you're like, yay.
I'm all for far right people facing like consequences. Like, do you ever hear from Richard Spencer anymore since he got punched in the face?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what that is.
Like, I feel like we should do one of these days do a podcast on like the internet before Mika got it, because I have things to say.
Oh my god! Yeah, actually.
Yes. I think that would be a fun episode, because there's so many things that I could tell you about, like makeup community lore, YouTube drama. Like, you never experienced like Fred on YouTube
I watched Fred. Don't get me. I watched Fred on dial-up. Yeah, I had dial-up for like a year. So I got like Sham Woohoo. I got early Smosh, Annoying Orange, and like, so that very, very early era, I have a little bit of a taste of. But
what even was that?
I mean,
What even was that?
And then for regards to, every day, Elle DMs me something about, did you know, I don't know, Bethany Moda, and I'm like, who is that? I
know. I was like watching her.
You looked like Remy Ashton. I'm like, who is that? What is that?
Every time I'm like, how do you not like? I was literally watching Bethany Moda's fall like get ready with me morning routine because she is the queen of like morning routines. She literally used to be like, hi guys, like this is what I do in the morning, like before I go to school. Like she is that girl. Like we all sat down to watch Bethany and watch her Starbucks Frappuccino DIY recipes, and then it was Laura DIY and Remy. Oh my god, like Remy was like instrumental for my self-esteem because like,
wasn't Remy Ashton plus size for a while?
Yes, she was. So like Remy has PCOS, and so like a symptom of that is like fluctuating in weight. Yeah. And Remy was plus size for a majority of her life and was like in a sorority, and it was just so awesome seeing like a plus size feminine person like just existing and like doing like fun things and like getting glam makeup. Yeah, like I remember like I was subscribed to her before she hit 1 million, and like because you know like we're like I don't know, but like, I'm I say zillennial with a Z, like because I'm like Gen Z millennial cusp, you know, in the sense that like I grew up with like the toxicity of the 2000s bridging out from like heroin chic body types all the way to like, you know.
Yeah, my mom would actually give me hand-me-downs of my brother's cargo pants because I'm not built for low-rise jeans at all, and they just like didn't fit me.
No, I know low-rise jeans don't look good on. They're the worst. Like my best friend is like skinny and can wear anything, and even she thinks that they're hideous and they don't look good on everybody. Like they don't even look good on like thin people. Like I just think that they look bad.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway,
we'll go into the internet when Mika does have it. Because I want to talk about my the Jimmy Snow rabbit hole that I had to go on after my video kind of going sicko mode. And there's the atheist community's lore goes deep. So Stephen McRae retweeted my video, and he had a show called the Non Sequitur Show with this guy named Kyle Curtis, who allegedly like stole the channel somehow. And then Jimmy Snow, if you look at the Non Sequitur Show, the last one filmed a year ago has Jimmy Snow on it. And then Without a Crystal Ball, sued by Tati Westbrook, is friends with Kyle, the guy on the Non Sequitur Show who's friends with Jimmy Snow. And apparently, huge allegedly, Without a Crystal Ball and Jimmy Snow also kind of get along. But Without a Crystal Ball is known for being like overtly slanderous and manipulative in her content. And then like after the Gabbie Hanna situation happened, and a lot of people's videos, including mine actually, took off, Jimmy has blocked 1,000 people in the last month, allegedly. I'm getting a lot of this information from, what's it called? r/freely talk about Jimmy, I think, or something like that, which is a subreddit just kind of talking about the situation. And they refer to it as the blockening. And as a result of the backlash to the video, despite how constructive some people's responses were, he called people abusers. Like he was calling people abusive for criticizing him.
No. Because then, okay, then you could say the same thing about him talking about Paul and Morgan. Like, oh, you're abusing them by constantly harassing them. But, like, I don't think, like, I'm not a supporter of Paul and Morgan. I think Paul and Morgan, a lot of the times, are being homophobic, transphobic, sexist. They're, projecting toxic views of Christianity onto their audience. and onto the YouTube platform as a whole. I don't think that like, you know, what they're doing is good, but like you could say the same thing about them then. If you because that's what you're doing is criticizing them. But if people criticizing you is abuse, then you could say the same thing about him criticizing Paul and Morgan. It's not. It's not abuse.
The worst part is I've been getting fans of his when I said you pointed out Rachel's comments as being mean girl and non-constructive. Then I said, okay, well then you mocking Paul and Morgan was the same. You used the same strategies. So is it immoral and weaponizing like your platform, which is what you were telling Rachel essentially that she was doing, or is it fine? And then people were telling me that I'm transphobic, anti-LGBTQ, and a defensor of fundamentalist Christianity.
I know. I read those comments when you like, and I was like, "Are you kidding? Do people not know how to read? Do people not, or like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like again like under us. Like, I don't want to be like ableist in that sense. But like, really like synthesize what a person like has written before responding to it, because that's not what you were saying at all. You can disagree with people.
I was trying to say like
argumentation.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is like your whole argument with Rachel, if the shoe fits, you know, maybe if there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing in regards to like, well, you're saying these things are wrong, but you built your channel on that. So that's what the problem is. The problem isn't like you going off on people or doing any of those kinds of things. It's the fact that you say that you can't and you shouldn't do that. And how dare you do that to Gabbie? But it's like, okay, well then how dare you do that to Transform Wife, to Paul and Morgan, to Caitlyn Bennett? I think you should criticize them, and I think it's fun to poke jokes at people. What I am saying is don't not commend, don't come for other people for doing it if you do it. That's the problem, not the fact that those types of styles exist in the first place. I think you should pick on fundamentalist Christians if they're trying to support like really harmful rhetoric. The issue is that
that rhetoric just feeds policy, right? So like,
do not manipulate your platform to sow at somebody else with that issue. Same thing as I said, you can't call evolution the fact of evolution. Was not the fact that I think it's fake, which a lot of people said that's what I said, was I was saying that, and then I had actual scientists in my comments saying, no, she's talking about language theory, and saying that that's not how you apply the terminology, which is exactly what I was saying. What I was trying to say was like,
we stand the scientists when they understand both, because, you know, science.
Yeah, because what I was just saying is like, you can't you're supposed to say the theory of evolution just given that like, maybe it will develop into something else. Maybe there's room for things or whatever, or even if it is essentially proven, it's just, it's a scientific theorem. So I was just trying to say throwing fact in front of it doesn't make your argument more valid. Especially when you're supposed to say theory, just because that's just how language works. Like,
exactly.
That was so I'm just getting a lot of like misconstrued points, and then I'm coming onto these Reddits and people are fighting, and it's just like, the atheist community is messy. It is so messy. Like as far as like the comment, I guess it's because of the heaviness of the content. Probably doesn't help, right? Because like Jimmy Snow's audience is pretty dedicated to the ones that have stayed, but apparently he was getting so much criticism that he disabled his Twitter. And then Jimmy Snow put a post on his community tab saying he was going to make a video about it, like another video regarding like the Rachel Oates situation. But he says like, I'm going to clarify what I said that was right the first time, but I'll also correct where I was wrong. And I'm like, well, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything good for anybody. I'm just going to look up the community tab post because it was like kind of weird. Yes, I have now spoken to enough people who were critical of my response to Gabbie/Rachel situation, including creators who made videos. Did not reach out to me, by the way, if anyone was wondering. That I'm ready to soon release a video and update people with what has changed and what hasn't. See, to me, that prefaces a doubling down before it's even started. Does that make any sense? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, like it's almost like and so I stayed up late to watch Smokey Glow's video on Gabbie Hanna when it dropped at midnight. And it's funny too, because I felt something. I was like, I feel something brewing in the air. And then I got the notification. I was like, boom. But she talks about how Gabbie always tries to rewrite the narrative before, you know, rebuttals can be had. Because that's what she tried to do with Jessie after she, like, you know, after Jessie leaked the phone call. And then Gabbie responded with that little video before Jessie released her large hour-long one. Gabbie was already trying to rewrite the narrative there. Like, she's always trying to focus on the minute details and rewrite history. And, like, it seems that's what he's trying to do here. He's really focusing on, like, stuff that doesn't matter. And he's almost trying to, like, rewrite what happened. And it's like, dude, you've been caught in 4K.
I want to read it all so that no one thinks I'm just trying to, like, cut into certain things.
Yeah.
So then he goes into and he says, there are things that I recognize I did wrong and will address those things. That's fair. That's commendable. But then the problem is it goes into, I will also address why I turned off comments and address quite a few things that were becoming very popular misrepresentations of things I said. And in some cases were all out lies. I am yet to find super unwarranted comments from any of the more popular videos, where a lot of them were also made by people that also had disabilities. Because Jimmy Snow has autism. He's on the spectrum somewhere. I don't know. Like, he says he has autism, so I'm just gonna, like, you know, take that, not to take that with a grain of salt, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know what condition or whatever, like, how you would define it, where he sits, but, so there were some people that were further on the spectrum that made comments, some people who were, SA survivors, there were people who were also autistic that were making these commentary videos on him. And I'm yet to see anything that isn't people pointing out how harmful the rhetoric is of, like, trashing Rachel in favor of Gabbie Hanna. So when it's ending with, in some cases, all out lies, and then the next line is, I will absolutely be hitting back at a lot of the garbage culture that has come out of this, but will also correct what I did wrong, especially regarding the initial innocent incident. That sentence, like, frustrates me a lot. Garbage
culture. The garbage culture. Is he talking about, like, is he talking about cancel culture as a whole? Is this going to be, like, just a whiny rant on cancel culture? Because, you know, and, like, again, like, obviously cancel culture is literally just a fear of online harassment, which, like, again, like, is valid. And, like, that's a different conversation. But, like, Mel Gibson literally was just trending on Twitter and people were like, we're canceling him for saluting Trump. And I was like, you're canceling him in 2021? Mel Gibson? The fact like, that he is even still in kids' movies, the fact that
I cancel him for Passion of the Christ, bro.
Exactly! Exactly. Like, he's been canceled. The fact that he is still getting jobs, the fact that he is in he was in that children's movie with Will Ferrell, Daddy's Home or whatever, like the family comedy. He is a working actor, so cancel culture in the sense, oh, you could never work again, is not real. It's not real.
It's like, unless you're like Harvey Weinstein.
Or unless, well, like, you know, like, he's the one man who's been held accountable for his actions. And look at Bill Cosby. Yeah, he's like literally getting let out.
Cosby, yeah.
They let Cosby out. If you have enough money and you can transcend, it's like how many innocent black men are in jail or like are in jail for nonviolent marijuana charges, and here he is with like multiple witnesses over decades and decades worth of evidence being like ruled out because of circumstance, because you know what, he's just got like enough lawyers and enough time to comb everything and find like loopholes to get him out. Those resources don't exist for other people. So like if you have the money, you can just literally get yourself out of the justice system if you have it, especially in America where they like do so much like bail bond. Like you can like get yourself out, like that's why like loan sharks and bail bond like businesses are so close to courthouses, because like the amount of like, you know, loans that are like taken out to like get people out, like it's wild.
But he continues with, This is not an invite for people to try to re-push narratives in the comments here. The current operations of this channel will remain the same, and comment mods have the same instructions until at least the new video is done. In my comment section of my video, which is moderated only by me, and like I said, you'll only be wiped out if you're like racist or a white supremacist or anti-science. Like that was kind of like the guidelines I've set. A lot of in my comment section is a lot of people who are saying that they were hurt that Jimmy was defending a R-word apologist. And that being survivors, it's really feels like he was a performative feminist. And that's their problem with him. And they've been blocked.
Is he a performative feminist or is he falling prey to misogyny?
I don't know. I would call it performative feminism too, because I've also seen a woman in his comments that just said, log off Twitter today.
No, but that's the thing. Are you a feminist? Are you a feminist?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I thought you meant, okay, sorry, I misconstrued that a little bit.
No, it's okay. Because, like, that's the thing is that, like, here you are engaging in R-word apologia. Here you are siding with somebody who is vitriolic, like, you've called women, like, bitches and like, this is the thing. Like, I'm, like, I don't, like, and I think you should be able to call men bitches. Men are little bitches sometimes. But, like, obviously, like, that word has been used derogatorily towards women for a while. And, like, if there are women who are offended by a usage of that word, I just won't use it to them. I won't use it in proximity of them. You know, if they have any, like, triggers for that, yeah. But, like, you're literally, like, you're siding with somebody who's been criticized for having internalized misogyny. So to me, that's not performative feminism. That's you engaging in misogyny. That's you just literally falling prey to misogyny. Like, not being a like in the past, probably, like, that's probably why people are like, oh, you're being performative. I don't think maybe in the past he's been performative. He's probably had genuine, like, I want to do good. But so did Gabbie. Like, that's why she spins that whole narrative of, like, I'm a feminist, support my book, and, like, I'm a girl boss. It's like, these are people that have well-meaning intentions that still haven't, like, worked through, you know, the internalization of these, like, social constructs that have been put on us, you know? Like, that's why Gabbie still, like, goes after women and, like, verbally assaults them and calls them bitches. And she's like, I'm being a feminist because I'm a strong woman standing up for myself. It's like, that's not what feminism is.
Yeah, like, and it's
that's
like
not entirely like, what? Why are you weaponizing strength and, like, yeah, like, that's the thing. You're weaponizing traits that are associated with masculinity to convey strength, like being vitriolic, being aggressive, like, not backing down. That's not feminism. You engage, like, and, like, not to say that women can't be angry and, like, women can't show their own emotions, but, like, again, none of this has to do with anything with feminism at all.
I've tried to, I'll put the screenshots in the video, and there's, like I said, it was just a woman saying log off, and then the next screenshot, it was the one I sent you that was French, that was like, oh, you know, you can't view the tweets anymore, that he had blocked her. And then he finishes off too with, finally, all of you who feel your intentions were good and feel betrayed because you were banned. So he's banning them from the channel entirely. I think I have 5 channel bans.
Freedom of speech for me against religion, but freedom of speech for and, like, you know, it is your channel.
I think I have like 5 channel bans, but with a total of like 1,000 comments. Yeah. And then I will address that too, but also you should know the plan will be to lift all channel bans from the last month soon. Past comments won't be restored. I don't think that's an option, but you aren't locked out forever. Which is just so, like, so you hurt my feelings, and I'm gonna keep you out. But, like, I'll let you back
that's being, like, a little bitch.
I'll let you back into this club so you can finally, like, support me again and fund my show again, and you get to be back in with me again. Like, that's so, like, that seems very, he's not a narcissist. Before y'all Gabbie stans come in the comments, I'm saying that was a very narcissistic comment to me. Past comments will be restored. I don't think that's an option, but you aren't locked out forever. How are they gonna see it if they're banned from the channel first? Like, yeah, like, if you're banned from the channel, how are you gonna see the community post in the first place? But I mean, sure. I think actually when you're banned from the channel, if it's what he thinks, if he's implying what I think he's implying, given like the way that YouTube works, they're not blocked from the channel or banned from the channel. What it is that you can comment, but it will just get like gone. It's gone immediately. Boom. And you can't really like interact with the videos in the same way. So maybe they can see it, but if there's another way where they just like, because how he says it's they're banned, then like they wouldn't be able to see it. But I don't know, because there's other features that come into when you're monetized that I don't have access to. So I want to preface with that as well, me not being like too sure what exactly he's referring to. But if it's what I think it is, you should in theory still be able to see. But yeah,
I like from what you've told me like about, like, because that's the thing, like I knew like about the atheism community on YouTube for a while, like amazing atheists and people like that, but like a lot of the times they were engaging like you know, like a lot of the early YouTube commentators were like contrarians, you know, and like atheists, which is, you know, like they started like fostering that community and doing commentary, but they weren't always engaged in like, you know, helpful rhetoric in terms of like things like social justice. Like I remember specifically, like there's been criticisms of like all of them. I remember Amazing Atheist, like I got into an argument with a guy that grew up down the street from me because he was being transphobic, and he cited an Amazing Atheist video, and I was like, that has nothing to do, like, what does that have to do with anything? I was just so, I'm like, okay, so you're using this person's like rhetoric to like defend transphobia, and that's like, you know, again,
there's a comment that says I'm against logical argument. because
on your video,
yeah, because they said like, well, if he's arguing logically, so what's the solution then? The solution is to research the content before you go into it, which nobody knows, actually, I guess. Every single video I have, I create a notes page I write out by hand with screenshots of my textbooks emitted into the inside that I have to reference through like referencing, because I can't put them in because that's copyright infringement of my university and I don't want to get kicked out. So everything I talk about is actually from like scholarly sources, but there's my university says I don't have permission to to share them. Like I can't like put the textbook page on the screen. I'm not allowed to do that because it's monetary content. That's under copyright. That's under like pretty strict copyright. So because that's what all my classes say. So I'm like, even if I might be allowed to, I don't risk it for a biscuit. You know what I mean? So like every video, I watch the video of what I'm gonna talk about, and then I watch other videos about what I'm going to talk about. I look on Twitter for what I'm going to talk about. Then I form my opinion, and then I go, what argument model do I want to apply to this, and which one do I think is going to fit? So like for my last James Charles video, it was Foucault's model, because Foucault talks about status and power and how people that are in power kind of form what is acceptable in society as far as like certain scenarios. And James Charles, being the most followed beauty guru, has kind of set the status for what's the most acceptable for a beauty guru. And that's why he didn't lose much of the audience for criminal allegations. So that's what the argument model that I chose, right? So people telling me that I was against logical argument, or there were people that were just like, you don't know what you're talking about. I get that I've come for Gabbie Hanna's undergrad. Fair. But the thing is I'm doing it right now. And it's not 10 years old.
It's okay because I'm doing it now.
No, but I mean, like, in the sense of, like, that I am seeing these sources in real time.
Yeah.
And I'm citing directly from these sources that I'm getting in real time. And also, like...
She's citing from WebMD, and, like, no offense, but, like, with things
I'm not, like, Googling stuff. I'm not Googling stuff and, like, throwing it in. I'm, like, going from my scholarly sources. So, while I understand that, and I also never claim to be a professional either. However, I do know what I'm talking about. I do know. I didn't spend countless hours in these classes, countless papers, and to not have any recollection of any of the content. That's also, by the way, everybody, I've taken classes. I've taken in high school. I did chemistry and physics, and I did advanced math. which is pre-calculus. I also did calculus 1, 2, 3, and linear algebra. I have taken courses in Newtonian mechanics, electricity and magnetism, and waves, optics, and modern physics. I've taken general biology and cellular biology courses, and I've also taken general chemistry, chemistry solutions, and organic chemistry. So I also know what the word theory means. Like,
spell pharaoh.
I'm not
Have you seen that TikTok?
Yes. I'm not intentionally trying to pull things out of my ass to hurt people's feelings. And I feel like that's a big issue with the whole Jimmy Snow argument as well, is that's what he's feeling is happening. And that's how a lot of people are interpreting his video. How I interpreted his video was he was trying to weaponize tactics that he uses against people that typically won't defend themselves or are not very educated on these topics, and then trying to apply them to someone who's like obviously very intelligent, didn't really do anything fundamentally wrong, and like just was in a very like class act type of person. I'm not saying Rachel never made mean girl comments. I'm saying that he can't say that's wrong without being a hypocrite. So like this whole atheist rabbit hole is like a lot of these people kind of arguing against, people will argue pathos saying that it's logos. People will argue when they're angry. They'll say they're angry at me and saying I don't like logic, when I'm saying it's really easy to point out when someone's doing something wrong. Like if I saw a guy stab a guy on the street, I would go, "Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong of them to do. That's easy to discern." However, if there's a more nuanced situation where person A sides with person B and person B sides with person C, and there's a disconnect, then those are harder to tackle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's it's like, so what I'm saying is that these things are more difficult to handle, so those applications are not necessarily going to work. And then with the whole Steve McRae situation, people are upset that he was going into the subreddit saying, look at these patterns, this is what happened with me and Kyle Curtis. So then that puts me in an awkward situation of not knowing if that can be applied or not. But then looking at the community tab post, I see that same nature of deflection. So that's how my internet niche has been doing. I guess, and I think we're gonna do 4 topics. I guess we're not gonna do 4 topics.
That's okay. We can call this one like Mika and Elle need to rant.
Yeah, or just like Canadian politics and atheist politics.
Yeah.
Because that's what this was, you know. And so I guess this will be our exiting point.
Yeah, we could talk about like commentary. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say we could talk about like commentary and stuff in the, maybe we could do that in the video, the internet before Mika had it, and then you can talk about,
we can
like,
do that too. Yeah. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for watching. Again, yeehaw! Over 820 subscribers. Woohoo! Thank you. And then I want to also say that you can comment down below suggesting content. Hopefully, maybe soon I get 1,000 subbies, so then I don't have to keep saying please. You can only comment down below. Reach out to me on Twitter. My handle is at MexicanBatBoy24. Yes. There's a fly in my house. And then I will also I can also make up my own things. I don't know if I'm gonna do my own video this week. We'll see. If Jimmy puts out his like next video regarding it, I'll probably do that and talk about it, just because I have a feeling, given his tweets, I have a feeling he's seen my video, because a lot of it feels very subtweety. Maybe this is just me fueling my own how do you pronounce that in English? Herbis? You know what I'm talking about? Like when you're feeling your own ego a little bit too much? Hubris. Hubris. Yeah, hubris. some words in English. I'm like, I don't know, how does that even make sense? Okay.
To be fair, it's a Greek word.
Yeah, but it's like whatever, never mind. And then it's so maybe that's just me fueling my own ego a little bit too much. But I do want to see the video because, like I said, a lot of it feels very. I felt like I was getting subtweeted just a tiny little bit when he's still on the Twitter. So I'll probably respond to that if that comes out. If not, whatever. We'll do my next video. Might be another one of these. I don't know because this was later in the week. So usually I try to film a video on Saturday, but it's already Thursday. So I don't know yet. Squish Gang says goodbye, especially Gordon, my dream. And
he's the shark,
Elle.
right?
Yes, I got the shark one.
That's so cute. I remember you saying you really wanted him.
Yeah, and then follow Elle at thickbookthoughty on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I'll tweet Monty Python quotes at you, and then you can block me like Maxime Bernier did. So that's literally why he blocked me, is because I tweeted
I'll link that down below. Stuff. And Elle's channel for when eventually they want to put a video out, whatever, is fine. And
I promise soon.
Yeah, they're pretty busy because Ontario just came out of lockdown, so all of a sudden people have jobs again, and it's like a whole mess. Well, they already had a job the whole time, but like it gets like worse. You know what I mean? It's not just pick up and online orders. All of a sudden people actually show up, and then it's like a whole mess. Oh man!
Literally, that's it.
I went to the mall the day that it opened because I wanted clearance candles and things that I needed. I had been waiting for because I couldn't pick up for a really long time because a lot of them wouldn't do curbside because they were within the mall and didn't have like websites or anything. So I went in like when it opened, and every single person I saw was like, "I am so sorry you're here today." It actually wasn't that bad because where I am, it opened at a different time, so it wasn't really the end of the world. But yeah, so they've been pretty busy, so it is how it is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, have a good day, everybody. And I hope y'all have a great week wherever you are. And I'll see you next time. Bye.